For 5 minutes.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Mr. Scher and Mr. Rose, what are some of the factors the United States should consider prior to the extension of the new Strategic Arms Reduction Treaty?
I would say a couple of things. One, is it in the interest of the United States to maintain the New START treaty? My view is yes. Despite all the concerns that we have with INF, I believe it's in our interest to maintain the New START treaty because it puts limitations on Russian forces, and furthermore, it provides us insights we would not necessarily get from our national technical means. But the bottom line is, are they in compliance? And two, does it serve our national interest?
Mr. Scher?
I would mirror exactly what was said, but obviously my focus is on, is it in the U.S. national interest? I believe it still is, as long as they're not violating and as long as we continue to have the ability to inspect and do other pieces. So worthwhile.
All right, a follow-up question for Mr. Scher and Mr. Rose, but on a different treaty. We've heard suggestions from some corners that we should try to multilateralize the Intermediate Range Nuclear Forces Treaty. According to unclassified reporting, Iran has roughly several hundred intermediate-range ballistic and cruise missiles that would be prohibited and have to be eliminated if Iran came under the Intermediate-Range Nuclear Forces Treaty. Similarly, Pakistan has hundreds of missiles that would have to be eliminated or limited by the treaty. China has at least 1,500. In what world would these countries agree to just give up these missiles? That's the first question. And second, is there a risk that multilateralizing the INF will only give Russia a convenient excuse for its illegal behavior?
Great. Sir, what I would note is that in 2007, the United States and Russia proposed the idea of multilateralizing the INF. So it's not a new issue. However, I would caution. I would say, one, we should not entertain this idea until Russia comes back into compliance with its obligations under the treaty. And secondly, and I think you hit the nail on the head, it would be very difficult to get North Korea, Iran, Pakistan, China, and India to agree to give up their ballistic missiles. So I don't think it's very much a viable idea at this point.
Mr. Scher?
Yeah, I don't think that's the world in which we live right now.
Mr. Wilsall, they were both briefer than I anticipated they might be. Would you like to comment on either of those two sets of questions?
I'm as surprised as you are, sir. So on the multilateralization, I agree. I think it is not realistic to think that we will have a multilateral treaty that bans INF. I guess I would frame my response the following. What we're seeing Russia do is not just an action. They are reacting to the fact that we have developed tremendous military capability to protect our allies, and that they feel that they have not been able to do the same. We have now seen them come online with both air and sea-launched cruise missiles, as they demonstrated in Syria. And so while I think that they are not likely to come back into compliance with INF, I think we do need to be talking to them at a military level and at a political level to understand how we can reduce the risks of unintended and accidental conflict. And that could involve some agreement regarding how and when we would deploy certain capabilities in response to how and when they deploy certain capabilities. I'm not suggesting we validate what they're doing because they have violated a treaty that has been ratified by the United States, and there should be consequences for that. But we need to understand the broader context in which that's happening.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I yield back the balance of my time.